The Galactic Military Academy on Station Fortis had trained warriors from 200 species over 3 centuries. It had survived wars, political upheavals, and even a direct asteroid strike. But nothing in its storied history had prepared it for the chaos of one human cadet's absence. The incident began on a Tuesday during Advanced Combat Theory, a class that typically ran from 1400 to 1600 hours. Cadet Emma Rodriguez had requested a schedule modification, something about biological rhythms and circadian maintenance. The request had been denied automatically. The Academy didn't bend for individual comfort. Discipline was universal. That's when the Kravish cubs started howling. The Kravish were apex predators from a high-gravity world. Their species respected throughout the galaxy for their ferocity and tactical brilliance. 3 Kravish cubs, adolescents in their final year of combat training, had somehow bonded with a human cadet during her first week at the Academy. No one understood how it happened. The Kravish didn't bond outside their species. They barely tolerated other species at all. But when Emma had found the smallest cub, Rax, caught in a malfunctioning gravity net during a training exercise, she'd spent 4 hours carefully extracting him while speaking in soft, soothing tones. The other 2 cubs, Vex and Kira, had watched this tiny human risk disciplinary action to help their pack member. From that moment, the cubs followed her everywhere regulations permitted. The howling started at exactly 1,430 hours, 30 minutes into Emma's scheduled class. It echoed through the station's corridors, a mournful sound that set off distress alarms in 3 different sectors. The Kravish cubs sat outside the Academy's administration building, their heads tilted back, crying for their missing pack member. Commandant Theros, a veteran Zelthian who had faced down enemy fleets without flinching, stood at his window, watching security attempt to calm the cubs. It wasn't working. The cubs weren't aggressive, just bereft. "Where is the human?" he demanded. His adjutant checked the schedule. "Cadet Rodriguez is in combat theory. She should be." Another wave of howling cut through the explanation. This time, it triggered sympathy howls from the canine species in the xenobiology labs. Within minutes, half the station's animal population was in distress. Theros made a command decision. Get her out of class. Now, they found Emma barely conscious at her desk, fighting to stay awake through sheer willpower. The instructor had noticed her drooping, but had assumed she was simply unprepared or lazy, unthinkable traits in a soldier. The moment Emma stepped into the corridor, the howling stopped. The 3 Kravish cubs rushed to her, making worried, chittering sounds as they pressed against her legs. I'm okay, she mumbled, nearly falling over. That's when the station's medical officer, reviewing her file, discovered something the Academy's automated systems had overlooked. Humans required regular sleep cycles, approximately 8 hours per day, with biological dips in alertness during their afternoon hours. The Academy ran on a standardized 26-hour cycle to accommodate most species. Emma had been fighting against her own biology for 3 weeks, operating on a schedule that was slowly destroying her health. She tried to explain, but the request had been filed as comfort preference rather than biological necessity. The cubs had known. Somehow, they'd sensed her distress before she'd even collapsed. Commandant Theros called an emergency meeting with the Academy's scheduling committee. "Explain to me," he said with dangerous calm, "why we didn't know that humans have mandatory rest periods. The information was in her medical file, sir, but..." But we assumed discipline could override biology. Theros pulled up Emma's performance scores. Despite fighting against her own circadian rhythm, she was in the top 15% of her class. What do you think she could achieve if she wasn't slowly killing herself trying to meet our standards? The next day, the Academy schedule was modified. Emma's classes now avoided the 1,400 to 1,500 hour block, her species' biological low point. A quiet room was designated for circadian maintenance. Other human cadets, who had been silently struggling, nearly wept with relief. The Kravish Cubs, meanwhile, had taken to guarding Emma's rest periods with fierce dedication. Any cadet who made noise near the quiet room during her nap time would find themselves facing three very protective apex predators. The Academy's unofficial motto became, "Train hard, fight harder, but respect biology." And every schedule now included a note in the margin, "Maintain Cubs pack cohesion, schedule around 1,400 hours." No one questioned it. The one time a visiting admiral tried to schedule a mandatory assembly during that hour, the howling started again. The assembly was rescheduled,